Howdy y'all, Gabrielle here, and thanks for joining me for today's coffee break. I'm here at White Rhino Coffee in Dallas, Texas, with a blueberry muffin and a latte, ready to take a break with Alice Iversen, who's digital media strategist at MarketScale. We're going to get to learn more about her as a beautiful person, just her background, and also what brought her to where she is today as a successful professional. So I'm so very excited to chat with her. Alice, welcome.
Hey, how are you guys? I love being described as a successful professional. It makes me feel good.
That's how I refer to myself all the time. I'm like, hello, I'm Gabrielle, a successful professional. How are you? It just lifts me up. It starts the day right. Well, you know what? There is a seasonal latte. It's like a chai latte, and it's called a chumpkin. And it's like pumpkin and chai latte. It's my personal favorite. And that is what I have here today with some snacks. What kind of coffee did you get today?
So today I got a basic latte, dropped it into my mug from Starbucks. And then I just got this custom bourbon maple syrup. It's processed in these leftover bourbon barrels, and there was a very small batch of them from a local supplier. So I used that for sweetener, and I tossed in some pumpkin protein powder because, you got to hit your protein macros every day. So
I have never heard of that before. That's such a brilliant idea. Wait, that would taste so good with this too, because it's actually pumpkin flavored. So why did I never think of that? It's a great idea.
And they only release pumpkin protein powder like around Halloween, which I think is a huge shame. So I just stock up. I get like 3 bags and it lasts me the entire year until we get back to this point in time.
That's so smart. You've inspired me. This is like an influencing moment. Well, to start us off, Alice, I want to let our audience know just what is the picture that it's all. So let's go ahead and start with your name, what you do at MarketScale, kind of like where you're from, and then let's go ahead and add in what's your favorite thing at a coffee shop?
Oh, okay. So my name is Alice Iversen. I am a digital marketing strategist at MarketScale, and I'm originally from North Carolina, but I moved a lot as a kid. So I lived in California, New York, Ohio, Maryland. I think we did a short stint in Florida too. I mixed it up with California. It was a lot. So I'm kind of from all over the place. And because we traveled so much, I got to test a variety of coffee shops. My parents were okay with kids drinking coffee. Like they were the cool parents. So, I'd be 10 years old walking into a coffee shop. I'd get a giant frappe, whatever, and they just kind of like looked the other way. Favorite coffee shop to date? It's usually the hole-in-the-wall ones, not the brand name ones. It's the little shacks you'll find on the highway driving through the country, or sometimes little farm stands will make percolated coffee, and then they have like raw milk and raw honey that they toss into it. So the more unbranded, the more I like it, because I love testing it.
What is that called? I feel like there was a trend on TikTok or something. Oh, I'm totally blanking on what it is. It's like the things that are not mainstream. Is that what it is? Mainstream? I feel so old right now.
Yeah, it's something. I got on TikTok and I regret it because every time they say, old people, and they instantly shout out my birth year. And I'm like, oh, well, all right. Thanks, guys.
Underground. That was the word I was looking for, because my little sister will make fun of my music taste, and she'll be like, I like the underground stuff. So underground coffee.
As I said, the coffee shop I typically go to it's literally a shack. You can't walk in. You have to either walk up to the window or drive up and get out and go to the window. You can't see what's in there. It's dimly lit. They have no website. It could all be poison, but it tastes delicious. So I still go there.
And that's the important part, it being delicious. Well, I am curious to know, because you are on our digital media strategy team here at MarketScale, but this question, or the answer that I get to this question, sometimes it's so different from what it is you do now in like a creative field. But do you remember like what was your first job? It can be like your literal first job, or kind of like your first big girl job. And how does that like relate to what you're doing now, if at all?
Yeah. So I quantify my first real job. I guess so. When I got out of high school, I lucked out on a writing sample. So I applied at they did journalism. They did a lot of ghostwriting for politicians because I'm located near DC. So a lot of marketing is not brand marketing. It's like, oh, okay, these politicians need things for their campaign, or, these nonprofits need things for their again, campaign, brands, whatever movement they want to start, grassroots, etc. So my first real job I landed as a result of a writing sample. They were asking for an undergrad. I think I was 17. I might have just turned 18.
Oh,
And I was like,
wow.
you know what? They just want a writing sample. Like, I'm just going to slip my resume in under it. The pay was really nice compared to being a lifeguard. And I was like, perfect. So I slipped the writing sample in because journalism had always been my dream. And they contacted me a week later and they're like, we love this writing sample. We'd like you to come to the office. And it was traumatizing because I'm 18. I had Hollister and Abercrombie clothes and like one blazer and a dress I wear to church on Sundays. I have nothing appropriate to go into DC and go to this like powerhouse firm and interview. So I was literally running, you do the H&M run where you're like, okay, that's a blazer and pants and they match. And I remember it was just so itchy because I got the cheapest suit. But that was my first job. I landed it and I worked for them for almost 3 years doing ghostwriting for politicians.
Wow. That is so cool. I love that. I love journalism and the term ghostwriting too, but to do it in the field, like in DC, like near politicians, it's like a very unique, like I've never heard of someone doing that before. So, that is very cool. And I mean, what do you think like first kind of sparked your interest, in the field that you're in now? Just like, how do you feel like even ghostwriting, for politicians, how do you feel like that kind of shaped your career path to like where you're at now?
What I realized is that the journalism landscape that I had envisioned had very much changed. So, I mean, old school journalism, it was very much this like go out with a mic with, whatever news station and you're going to hunt down the action or you're going to go to this politician's house and you're going to knock on the door and see if they'll give you an interview. And today I realized like I was right on the precipice where it was changing. And now it was Zoom calls and you can do, you can call a politician and schedule a Google Meet with them or record a conversation online with them. And it was a huge transition between, hey, we need to be on site, we need to go into these big buildings or, go into their home. And instead it started to be, hey, give them a call. We're going to record this 1 hour episode. We're going to feature some of it on TV. Some of it's going to get turned into clips. Some of it we're just going to take out entirely because it doesn't match the image or the brand. So I realized that journalism and marketing were very much merged at that point. It was a lot less about just going out and getting the story and also understanding image management and how that was going to translate to social media platforms and how it's going to translate to the websites that they were using, and how to use sound bites effectively. So I think it was kind of a natural progression of, okay, well, I'm pretty decent at this. Let's see what the marketing world's about. And then I dove into marketing and business development from there for a law firm out towards the DC area.
That is so cool. I mean, from that, career path, I mean, or even up till now, I mean, what has been basically like the most rewarding project or kind of career moment that you think you've had, that you would want to highlight?
There is the National Basilica is located in DC. It's one of the biggest like religious attractions in the world. I mean, the thing's made out of marble, gold. I mean, the statues are made by artisans from all around the world. So it is Catholic, but like it's a tourist site. So it's not necessarily like you go there for a church. It's like you'd see any other museum in Washington, D.C. I had the unique opportunity to watch them install a new dome. These domes are hundreds of feet across, like 90 feet high. They were installing the third one called the Trinity Dome. And I got to be there for a week with the mosaic artisans that came directly from Italy, watch them offload it, and then follow them up the scaffolding. I think it was 200 feet, and got to hang out on the scaffolding for 5 or 6 days with a camera and take pictures of the installation, talk with the mosaic workers, learn a little Italian. Apparently one guy, he's the grandfather of a previous F1 driver. I do not know who that is, but like these are well-known people in Italy who have been doing this craft for hundreds of years. It's been running in their family. So that was a really neat experience. I'm scared of heights, but I definitely got over that throughout that time, just kind of staying on scaffolding for that long. But it was an insane opportunity, and some of the pieces got published in a lot of the Washington magazines and newspapers. So it was a neat opportunity to kind of get featured.
Yeah, no, that is too cool to have like attached to your name. I really love this question because I think it's fun. But if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would that be? And it can be career related or otherwise. But I always find the answers to these questions super cool.
I'd have to say, just stop being so timid. I was a very timid kid. I did a lot of things, but my heart rate was at 1,000 all the time. Just whenever I was doing new things, I had just a lot of anxiety. Like, okay, I'm gonna go and talk to this politician, or grab information for this article, or take these photos for this event, or interview this person, and my heart rate would literally just be a million miles an hour. I don't know why, too, because it wasn't necessarily a high stakes environment. My fear of failure was so intense that I just put way too much onus on everything. And now looking back, I would just say, hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good. Relax, enjoy the process. And when you walk away from it, that's that. That's what you captured. Yeah. You did your best, and you're not going to be able to do more than your best. So just kind of
absolutely
command yourself to just relax. Stop being so timid. Stop trying to hit the random goalpost of perfection that I put out there for myself. That I don't think anyone else ever has that, like, expectations that we do. We always are so much harder on ourselves than everyone else.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's something a lot easier said than done. And for sure, it takes time, I'm sure many years to get to the point where you're at now, where you can look at something you made and see the merit and enjoy. I like what you said about enjoying the process. I think that's huge. And it takes a lot of life experience to get there because, you care a lot. It sounds like you're super committed to your work. You're very talented at what you do. So, it's a great quality to care so much, but it can't affect kind of your output with your mental health, and doing your best is all you can do. And you can still contribute good work, and it doesn't have to be perfection because perfection doesn't exist, but we're always in pursuit of it. So you can just kind of get stuck in your head there.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so cool about the whole concept of CGC, community generated content. And I've had this conversation with a lot of clients because they're stuck in that old school marketing mindset where it's, hey, it needs to be a high level production, perfect lighting, perfect audio, perfect visuals. And we're trying to lead them away from that and go, no, have this engineer just hop on for 60 seconds and talk about what he knows and what he's good at, and let him light up in front of the camera and just be excited, because people are going to connect with authenticity more than perfection. And that's been one of the very cool lessons that I've learned here working at MarketScale. It's just the passion over the perfection every single time.
Oof, that's like a good episode title. I'm going to clip that for sure. No, and you're absolutely correct. It's seeing that authenticity and passion, as you said, like lighting up through the screen that translates the most, rather than having a perfect manicured production that looks just like every other large corporation or company that you see in an advertisement. So, no, I definitely agree with you there. And then just my last question here, because we're doing a podcast, but it can either be podcasts or music you're listening to. But what are you listening to now?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So music, it has to be Greta Van Fleet. I'm in love with that band. It is such a classic rock vibe. For anyone who hasn't listened, you're just deeply missing out. You need just go after this podcast, go and check them out. It's Greta Van Fleet. Beautiful. They almost have Prince vibes, but it's more of a classic rock and roll. So good. I'm obsessed with them. And then in terms of podcasts, I very much run the gambit. I do a lot of fitness and health podcasts, and one in particular is called Culture Apothecary. They go over a lot of holistic wellness and holistic nutrition, and basically talk about all the chemicals that Americans have in their food versus, Europe and a lot of other countries, and the bans that have been placed on certain additives in Europe versus the ones that we still have here in America. So I'm very invested in that right now. I love that angle of nutrition since I advise pregnant clients. And then I also love psychology. So I listen to Jordan B. Peterson. I also like the Jacko podcast, which is much more just kind of tough guy stories, but I find them interesting because I live such a
I love his book. I forget the name of the book, the one that he writes about teamwork. Have you
Yes.
read that one?
Oh, yes, I have. I'm gonna mix it up
Sorry, I'm
with the
blanking on the
title of his
name.
newer book, though.
But he's cool. I like him.
Yeah. No, he's very well spoken. But yeah, I run the gambit with podcasts. It's a different thing every day.
Dang. So, Alice, what I have gathered from this is that you are just a go-getter. You've got a lot going on. You're good at a lot of things. And it's super cool to hear. It's very inspiring, honestly. So, even if that means going off the grid to find a more underground coffee shop. So,
No, I'm gonna call it that now.
all right. Well, this is if I had a watch, I'd just have my hair ties. But this is where I would look at my watch and say, well, would you look at the time? It's almost the end of break time and the coffee is almost gone. So, thank you for joining me on my coffee break today, Alice. And I had a great time talking to you.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, and to our audience listening in, this isn't the last break that we'll have. We'll have many more breaks. So be sure to tune into MarketScale socials, catch on the latest, and also view more episodes. I've been your host, Gabrielle. Thanks for tuning in. And bye.